So, in this video we're going to be asking a very simple question. Where is your next image coming from? Where are you going to find it? Oh, you might think that the obvious shot here is the pier behind me. And you'd be right. Everyone's going to take it. Just over here 10 minutes ago, in actual fact, over there, a photographer taking a shot of the pier on a tripod. I'm not sure what it was he was doing. I haven't spoken to him. I never speak to people. But it's what people do. People take pictures of the pier. I've taken pictures of the pier. But I haven't at the moment, because the thing that grabbed my attention was something much more simple. You see it there behind me? Now, I've come here today thinking that I was going to get some sea mist. And I'll tell you why I thought I might get some sea mist. I mean, you can probably see mist behind me on the in the distance over there. There's loads of it. I was cleaning a holiday cottage earlier, and it's in a bit of a dip, a bit of a valley. I mean, not much of a valley, but in a bit of a valley. And I drove up out of the valley, and all of a sudden I'm in fog, and it was just rolling in and rolling in. I thought, right, got to shoot this. So I came back down the same roads. Yeah, absolutely full of fog. And I thought, whoa, maybe I'll go back to the holiday cottage and park there and walk out and get some shots from there. I thought, no, actually the pier would be really good to take shots today. Yeah, there's so much fog. There's no bloody fog here. It was hardly any. So I thought, well, okay. Yeah, my opportunity for what I wanted has passed. I could get back in the car, of course, and go chase the fog. But then I thought, let's have a look anyway. And immediately I spotted those flags. Well, actually, just really one. So yeah, the flag. What's really interesting about it is just the way in which the colours, the bright red and yellow colours of it's gone from screen, there it is, really just interact with the relative dullness of everything around it. There's a nice kind of yellowness to the sand, almost magenta in places, the way it's picking up light. Obviously incredibly flat light. There's a bit of a reflection of the flag in the damp sand in front of it. That's okay. But why is the camera so low? Well, the camera's low because, you see, up here, if you look at the flag, it's just peaking above the horizon, whereas more here, it's kind of on the horizon, but down here, it completely breaches the horizon. The horizon's important, because if we have something that interacts with the horizon, and yeah, kind of the horizon splits it, the image doesn't work terribly well. I've spoken about this many times. So we make sure that whatever we're putting close to the horizon breaches the horizon, and that's why the camera's so low. But I've done something else as well, because I thought, well, the flag on its own, it's not creative enough. Maybe it's not cliched enough. So in order to cliche it even more, I've done an exposure blend. Well, it's not an exposure blend. I suppose it is an exposure blend. It's a time blend. So I've got a long exposure, which flattens out the sea behind it, and a short exposure to capture the static waving of the flag. I'm going to blend those in Photoshop or something, and I'm going to put it on screen, and I hope you like it.
Well, as you can see, I completely abandoned the idea of blending images here. I really just like the little bit of movement in the flag, and to lose that for a lot of work wasn't worth it.
If you're trying to be a photographer that gets noticed for doing different things, you need to look for those different things. Now, I was just on the other side of the groin over there shooting the flag over there. There's two flags. There's one just here, and the other one on the other side of the groin. So I've just moved a little way because I saw something else that grabbed my eye, which is this surfboard here. I'm kind of pulling the same trick with the surfboard as I did with the flag, only with the surfboard, of course, because it's not moving, I don't need to do two exposures. I've just used a couple of ND filters and smoothed the movement of the sea off behind it. I haven't seen what that shot looks like yet myself. Let's have a look at it together.
The original photo of this had way too much gap between the surfboard and the smoothed out sea. so I cheated a bit and I closed that gap in post. It made the image worthwhile. This is something I'll touch on later on in the video.
So the first two shots in this video share the same kind of qualities. They're both single subjects in an environment of pretty much not very much really. I mean, let's face it, they are just very simple images. As photographers, we tend to try to overcomplicate things. We've got to get away from that. I don't know how many times I've said this in videos, but it's all about creating something where what's depicted is really very simple. There's no confusion as to what it is you're looking at, and the more we add into something, the more difficult our job becomes. Now, you could argue, of course, that finding simple shots is challenging in itself. I would say no, it isn't. What you've got to do is get the eye for it. Now, I'm going to put up a shot now of something that I found in my living room. I made a video about this, but it's on the members side. Crucially, I'm not going to tell you what this is. You might be able to work it out, but it's really nice and abstract. But it is in my living room. I found it by accident, and if you want to find out how, then become a member. In another shot of the same two subjects, I thought I'd try getting them more in their environment. So surfboard, flag, pier. Don't know whether it's worked. The one thing I'm concerned about with this shot is just the sheer amount of sky that's going on with it. There's not a lot in it, but maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm going to put it up anyway, because if I don't show failures, then you might think that I'm some kind of wizard. I can assure you I'm not. It's just we all try things, and sometimes they just don't work, sometimes they do. Let's see if this is a hit or a miss.
Compositionally, for me it's a miss. What I really needed was a little bit more wind so that flag just blew clear of the slipway of the lifeboat house at the end of the pier there. Otherwise, it's not bad. It's a good record of what was there on the day. What's your view on this?
What I want to encourage you to do is to always look beyond the obvious. Of course, it's really easy for me to say, look beyond the obvious. But how do you do that? I'm not entirely certain I can explain it, but I feel almost apologetic in the fact that I found another shot. And to give you an idea of where I was to start with, you can still see the flags. But there is another shot, and arguably it's getting better as the light's changing. So you can see here the camera is pointing at it. There you can see the camera is pointing at it. Can you see what it's pointing at? It's lines and shapes, but these lines and shapes kind of barely exist. They are there in the reflections of the water in the sand, and yes, there's a little bit of kind of hard relief on the one there, but the rest of it's kind of notional. It's really abstract, and at this point it's incredibly there's two colours in it. I was going to say it's monochromic, it's not. There's two colours in it. You've got blue and yellow. The blue really being a reflection from the sky. Not that the sky is terribly... Is it blue? Yeah. So it feels grey, but I'm sure there's more blue in it now. But again, it's another one of those abstracts. Now, if you saw my video a few weeks ago about abstracts being everywhere, that was shot just there. And abstracts absolutely are everywhere. Again, proving that here. Whether these abstracts are in the sand or in peeling paint, or as I've shot a number of times before actually, the concrete structure behind me here, there's all kinds of abstracts available to grab. It all goes back to what I keep saying is look for the shapes and the lines and the textures. Anyone can rock up and get a halfway decent image of that. That doesn't make you a good photographer, because it's there. All you really need is light and a phone. Let's face it. If you wanted to get a really different, interesting picture of it, then you need to find a different, interesting angle for it, or approach it at a completely different time of day, such as nightfall when the lights come on, or first light when this time of year the sun's going to be rising somewhere probably over there generally, and you get some amazing light coming through. So if you're going to put the effort in and come out early or stay out late, you might get a really interesting different shot of that. I hope today that I might get a really kind of grey misty shot of it, a bit like the one I'm going to put on screen in a moment, which was shortlisted for Landscape Photographer of the Year 2 or 3 years ago. At the time I didn't think it was a great shot, but now of course I love it. But the point being, actually I'm standing here and walking around these patterns in the sand with the water, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got another angle on that, I'm sure. That you probably couldn't exhaust compositions on that until the sea came in and took them away, I'd have thought, really. But look beyond the obvious. Well, the light's constantly changing here. A lot of what I'm doing here is just framing up. Well, it is just shapes, isn't it? But what's really working for me actually is if you can look at them here, you can see the relief on them. So you've got the really dark, can't really point because my eyes aren't good enough to see the screen and focus properly, but there are darker sections where the light really is casting shadow on it, and they are creating some really, really strong lines in it. And there's this grouping of 3 pools just here. They're all interlinked, but you've got 3 very distinct shadow lines where the water's poured its way through and created kind of fissures in the sand, and it's really nice. And I thought, well, the best way of capturing this is going to be in a square format crop, and some of the others I've already taken may end up in square format, but this one, whether you can see here, probably not going to focus, is it? No, I'll just show you the shot. It'll be easier, won't it?
I was absolutely certain I'd got some crackers when I was on the beach, but I got back and tried to edit these, and they were just, they were hell. So I've been more creative with them. I'm not sure what it was. There was just no blue in the water that I could see at the time, and I couldn't pull it out. Maybe my editing skills aren't up to it.
So I've come back again to the surfboard. I say come back again. I mean, I'm hardly getting any exercise today, am I? I've walked all of 300 blooming yards. But it's the light, you see. It's changed everything. And also, the fact that I've gone to a square crop in the camera, I think makes this more interesting again. Yeah, I will admit I would prefer that the surfboard were looking towards something, because it's directional, so to speak. It's got a face, if you like. It has a heading. It would be nice if it were looking to something. So arguably, again, I could get it looking towards the flag, but I don't know. I would prefer it to be looking towards a surfer or something that's more kind of in its frame of view, rather than kind of contriving something. And that's one of the important points as well here. Again, if you look at the camera, I've got it low, and the reason really for that is to keep the gap between the surfboard and the sea quite small. The lower we go, the more that gap closes up. But that has its detractions as well, because the surfboard has got these ribs or grabs on the top of it. I don't know what the technical term is, and they kind of overlap one another. So the surfboard isn't as clean as I'd like it to be, and I could clean that up visually by coming higher, but then I introduce more gap. So yeah, there's a compromise to be had, and I would prefer the gap to close rather than the surfboard to have those little ribs all kind of individual and distinct in themselves. I mentioned earlier that I had often captured images of the concrete seawalls and such around here. They're just so photogenic. On this occasion, my interest has been attracted to this staircase. I don't know quite what it is. I've walked on it before, I've walked past it before. I'm not sure I've ever taken an image of it before, but again, it's just the way that the shapes and the textures kind of work with it. It might end up being a black and white image, it might be a square image, I'm not sure yet. It depends how I manage to frame it up. But I think the real key to it is capturing the steps and the wall, not the outside edge. So concentrating more on the way in which the steps attach to the sea wall and that pattern rather than the outer pattern with the handrail. There's nothing particularly wrong with the handrail. I just think that there's something better in the that inner edge. You might wonder why I'm using a tripod for this. It's because I've got to get the composition absolutely spot on. There's no margin for error here because we're working with very straight lines, probably working on a square crop as well. I want to get the bottom corner of the steps in the left hand corner, the top corner of the steps across in the right hand top corner. I can't get this wrong, and if I'm standing here I can't stand steady enough in order to capture that. So I can get that here, I can lock it in, and I can get the shot.
All of the photos in this video have been edited using DxO Photolab 8, some of the Nik collection, and some finishing in Photoshop. Photolab is an exceptionally good photo editor. There's a link in the description for an absolutely free 30-day trial. No credit card, nothing like that. It's absolutely free.
There's so many possible shots that you would potentially miss here. As the afternoon has got on, so the weather has changed dramatically. I got here with mist and, well, look at it now. I mean, just tremendous light coming across, wonderful colour. There's that bank of cloud up there, which I think is amazing. And when all's said and done, I've been, between, I haven't actually even been to the groin that you can see over there. Or have I? No, I haven't. I haven't been to that groin. It's crazy. Yeah, and there's the pier still. So in the space of 150 yards, I have got a number of unique, and I do mean unique photographs that I've not seen anybody else take. And admittedly, there are not a lot of people here, but yeah, they're not likely to go and take these. As the sun has got on and created some real interesting light, it's also creating some really interesting shadows. So I feel certain that there's a shot looking down this groin somewhere, capturing these shadows. I'm not sure quite what it is. I don't know that I can find it right now, but there's something to explore there, isn't there? Particularly with the light. I'm not so sure with the people down there, but yeah, if you wanted a really clean image, you could perhaps use a long exposure, which would probably get rid of most of them, or just clone them out later on if they're in the way. I did find a shot with the shadows on this groin here. I got one shot, which is a bit awkward. I don't know whether it's really worked. It's a very awkward position. Didn't film it, sorry.
I made the decision to turn this into a kind of fine, arty type black and white. I would have preferred a lot more separation between these posts. However, I was standing astride a particularly slippery groin. One slip and a different type of groin would have been impacted.
And then I found another one, which is really strange here. I've no idea whether this is working either. But you can see it's a little bit awkward. It's very much a top down of this post. Shadows are all over the place. In actual fact, I'm making use of the shadows because you can see there's a shadow from the tripod leg, which I'm using as a kind of diagonal line running through the shot. Very curious, but obviously there's a stronger shadow cast by the post itself.
I don't think this one works so well. Hey, but every photo is an experiment.
There's just so many possibilities in such a small area, and again, people might turn around and say, well, you're at the coast, you're going to get photos. I'd find these images walking down the street, and you can too.